So the option of kinetics is not completely off the table, but it is a totally admission of failure on the part of the church to do the perfect will of God, because there's a wisdom that is better than weapons of war. So having said all this, I want to remind us again that I'm going to talk about 4 things, and the last one would now be President Muhammad Buhari and the presidency and their relationship. And I've warned everybody that what I'm about to say, you may not agree with me, but it cannot be emotive, it cannot be intuitive, it cannot be illogical, and it cannot be devoid of critical thought. It must be based on the mind of Christ, what I'm about to say. But anybody in the flesh will find out, especially if you have a relative that has been killed before in the field, you may find out that you find it difficult to agree with some of the things I'm about to say. I even want to dedicate this response to Andrew Northcote. He's a pastor who was killed in 2000 in Kaduna. His widow, Rose Northcote, has struggled to bring up the children. I want to dedicate this outing to him. He was buried in a shallow grave. He was a minister just like yourselves. When they killed him, the only way, after burning his body, the wife was able to recognize it was her husband because of the shoe he wore when he left the house, and she saw him for the last time. Year 2000 to now is already how many years? 19 years. Yes, but the vacuum left behind by Andrew Northcote is the same vacuum that many widows, many orphans, and millions in this country are feeling till now. So having said that, I'm going to start on this, but I want to give you a charge right now. You are not helping me by coming to listen. You too are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus, unto good works, that God had before ordained you, that you will walk in it. Some of the things that we have said here, it has taken us 20-something years walking with Christ, trusting in God to bring it to you. You are the one that God has ordained to be a mouthpiece, and you are the one who will face God for this aspect of reporting it and bringing it to people accurately for the purpose of his kingdom before sensationalism. So, let me say this. You are here to fight for the future of your children. You are here to fight for religious liberties. You are here fighting for your own destiny. You are here fighting to ensure that there will be light and that darkness will not return to cover Nigeria. So, number one, the role and the position of the church. To make things easy for you, I have a book that I'm, blessing you with. Practically most of the things I'm going to say have been recorded here. So I'll just tell you the page so that you can go to it later on and fetch the information you want. Number one, the 4th verse of the national anthem, when you sang it this morning, refers to the labors of our heroes past. When most people sing that, their minds go to Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, Ahmadu Bello, and the likes. It is erroneous. There was a time that nobody ever thought about any black African nation where the people will be citizens carrying passports. That idea didn't exist in the earth, especially in the days of human slave trade. Today, you can get your passport and travel to the US, you travel to London, travel to Dubai, and with dignity they welcome you. Many of your great-grandfathers could enter all those places only if they were chained like animals, and they will only enter as slaves. It was the church that God sent to plant the idea that black people are not animals, that we are human beings. And just like all citizens of the world enjoy status of citizenship and nationhood, that the African too deserves it. So in page 10, pages 11, you are going to find out these things we are talking about. Men like William Wilberforce, the young, the minister, the Clapham sect, you are going to find out that as you go there, you read about people like Thomas Fowler Buxton, Granville Sharp, the Quakers, and the abolitionists. The people who said you are not an animal, you are a man, and insisted that Britain and the rest of the world must see us as such. They are the ones who planted the seed of Nigeria. Apart from them, we have also a long list of Africans. There's one of them, Oladua Ikiano, who was captured in Iseke. He was an Igbo boy. He bought his freedom in 1776. He joined an elite group called the Sons of Africa. There was one Otaba Wakano from a Ghanaian. They are the ones who worked with the abolitionists. They were the black people who wrote books, campaigned to dignify the life of the African to the level of talking about nations. They worked with the people who bought a parcel of land in Africa, Sierra Leone, Freetown. That was a clearing house. That was the crucible of the Christian faith that now brought it to Nigeria. They are the ones. When you go to the book, you find out that Ajayi Crowther, 1821, was captured by the Fulani as a slave, but God returned him as a champion. Apart from himself, I can give you a long list, but you'll see all these names in these volumes. They are the ones who put a stop to human sacrifices. Could there have been in Nigeria if human sacrifices were still part of our lives? The killing of twins, they put a stop to it. Idol worship, the day that Boni Juju was declared illegal, King George, was it Pepple of Boni? Ajayi Crowther was instrumental. Apart from him, we had another long line, but like I told you, you check the book, you'll find their list there. They are the first people who want to agitate for independence. So, what am I trying to point out to you? The church paid the price. We are major stakeholders. We have a right to speak about the future of this country. What happened to us was that our voice was silenced by the time of Herbert Macaulay, the grandson of Ajayi Crowther. The church moved back. Now, for us to avoid any shade of doubt, apart from the church, many other Muslims too paid the price for us to coexist peacefully. In the later part of the 19th century, there was a Malam Ibrahim in Kano, who after studying the Quran was interested in Isa, and his followers became known as the Isawas. He was beheaded publicly in Kano on the orders of the Emir of Kano, and his followers were dispersed. If you go to colonial records, they will give you information about the Isawas. So what am I saying? People like that Malam Ibrahim were the people who also sued for religious tolerance. Now, if there was no religious tolerance, would there be in Nigeria today? There will be no such nation. So what am I pointing out? Apart from Muslims like Malam Ibrahim and many others who contributed towards us having one nation, the church paid a hefty price in death sacrifices. There was a heart in Boni. One of the first converts, a slave. His slave was beaten to death by the master because he refused to eat idol food, refused to participate in idol worship. Till they drowned him, mangled him, he kept asking God to forgive them. So when we talk about the labors of our heroes past, it is the duty of the church today. It is the neglect of these things that has led to the problem we are in today. So the labors of our heroes past must go all the way back to all those who have worked in this. Now, number two, now let us go to the second one, because we've talked about the role and the position of the church as a major stakeholder in the future of Nigeria. And I'm saying to you that if God came down today, he will not ask President Muhammad Buhari, he will not ask the Vice President, he will not ask the Senate leader, he will also ask about the state of Nigeria and the future of Nigeria. Who is he going to ask? I didn't hear you. He's going to ask the church. So please, let us broadcast this. Let nobody deceive themselves. Wherever we are today is due to what the church either permitted or did not permit. Wherever we are going to be tomorrow is primarily going to be based on what the church permits or does not permit. In the days when our heroes past did what they had to do, we saw that the devaluation of human worth was cancelled and human life had great value. So number two, now we're now looking at the diagnostics of a nation in denial. President Obasanjo just said there's going to be war. He is wrong. We have been at war for about 2 decades. I want this to be broadcast to the ends of the earth that every nation of the world that is progressive has already recognized that there's a new form of warfare, asymmetrical in its tactical play. It uses what they call hybrid threats. It is well documented all over the world that it is a global form of warfare with local faces. It is well documented that this war form has never existed before. When you go into the book, I will show you where I traced this war form, where it started, and the final set of clerics that perfected it. That was the work of Zawahiri and Osama bin Laden. They were here in Sudan from 1991 to 1996. In this new type of warfare, the enemy has no uniform. The enemy has nothing. It doesn't have any insignia, has no bugle. The enemy could be a woman, a pregnant woman. The enemy could use a child. It can use a church. It can use a mosque. It does not care. It's a new war form that it has been afflicting Nigeria ever since we discovered it and God spoke to us in the 1990s. It was already at work in Nigeria.